is cold, so now we both have cold. We shared in it, so sorry if our voices are...
Joel, I hope these microphones are waterproof because you're going to have to boil them when we're done.
We're the only ones using them.
Okay. So, yeah.
All right, everybody got a survey?
No.
Surveys.
All right, well, everybody needs a survey.
Yeah. I think Caleb has some right there.
How many you have, Kim? I'll go make some more.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a question about the survey? Yes.
On number one, it says find it easy, one, or challenging. So is one easy or is five easy?
Now,
One is easy. 5 is challenging, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We could have gone to 10.
What is high?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Honestly, this is also for self-reflection, so a lot of it is just for you to stop and pause and reflect on yourself, so it's okay even if you...
No, I except for the first one.
Perfect.
okay, we're in session 3. It feels like session 29, but yeah, session 3. So welcome. If you haven't been here before, my name's Eric. This is my wife Gretchen, and we have been part of marriage ministry for years, and so we really enjoy doing that, mostly because it's like therapy for us.
That's right. It grows us up. So anyway, it's really, if you really want to grow, just teach a marriage class, because God will use it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so we're going to start by giving this to the Lord. So we need somebody to volunteer besides a pastor, besides somebody that normally speaks all the time. We want to give you a chance to honor the Lord this morning. If you could open us up in prayer. Do I have a volunteer? Yes, ma'am. Let's go. You want a mic? Let's give you a mic. Let's do this right.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for today and for the beautiful weather that we can enjoy. We thank you that we can all come together and learn more about you and how often and easy it is for us to sometimes be distracted by other things other than our relationship with you in order to strengthen our relationship with our spouses and with the people around us. We pray that you will just help open our hearts and our minds to these wonderful principles that we may have not seen in the same way before, and that you will help continue to work in our hearts, bring us closer together to you first and to everyone else second. We thank you for what you do in our hearts and for the privilege of learning together today. Amen.
Awesome. Bring it, sister. Wow. Also, I highly recommend Zicam, zinc, and calcium. Now that you touched my mic. So, just a little warning, because I'm on day 11. It doesn't go away fast.
yeah.
All right, so this is our expectation list. This is what we're going through. And we are done with the first one, and we're on to the second one.
Right, so today we're going to be talking about loving your spouse, and we're hoping to bring some practical ways that we can do that. Last week we talked about how if we don't have our walks right with Christ, we can't really love our spouse the way God intended. And so that's our responsibility and our circle to keep our hearts soft and pure. And so today I hope is a lot of fun. That's our goal, is to really have some interaction and fun. And so if you can set everything aside and just focus on, hey, how could I love my person better? And not how they could love you better, but how you could love them better. And let's just see what God does.
Excellent. Okay, so last week, so we do the survey. You all have a survey, and so that would be great if you can finish that out today sometime during our time or afterwards. Pastor Zach suggested I get a box, and I forgot the box. So we're going to leave a box in the back to collect so that you could spend time later and not get too wound up about it during our session here, if that's the way you want to do it. But anyway, we love to hear the surveys, and we love to get some feedback. So honestly, your surveys help us when we're designing the next week, because we integrate that into what we're talking about, because we want this to be important to you and something that's relevant and is meeting your needs where you're at. And so last week, here are a couple of takeaways that we got from the survey.
I forgot my glasses. Now I'm really old, aren't I? Yeah, okay. One of the fears that we saw come up several times was not necessarily now, but in the future, spiritual disconnection. That they're worried that, that you guys have some fears about that you'll stay on the same page loving the Lord. And so I think that was good for us to hear and see. And I think that's something that we all want to be aware of. And that can be helpful if we go back and keep our walks with the Lord. So that was good.
Another one is seeing the positive in your spouses. So I'm a critical person. Critical people, they analyze things, they critique, and they come up with things. Spouses don't like that. At least this one doesn't. So I have to be very careful to balance that with positive things. So I hear those people that were expressing that seeing the positive in spouses, you have to work at that. It's an intentional thing that you have to do on purpose.
Right, and I actually do love that he's detailed, because when we do the slideshow, he's like, wait, that font isn't the same as that one. I'm like, it isn't? So it is good. And Eric works really hard to build me up, and that's something he had to learn over the years, because he is detailed, and that's been great for problem solving, like out in his work field, but not always with me. Right? And then seeing what you're grateful for. Our minds we talked about the heart being deceitfully wicked. Very often we go to, what we're not grateful for. Oh, I wish they weren't late. Oh, I wish they didn't do this. Instead of seeing, wow, God gave me this person who is this and this and this. And God loves to know that we are grateful, right? And so we loved seeing the things you're grateful for your person. And that was fun to see. A lot of neat, very different responses, but that was good.
And lastly, the picket fence concept. That's the one where everything's roses, it's all beautiful and perfect, and and we're on one side or the other of that, right? Why isn't it the picket fence? Why isn't it the white picket fence? And why isn't everything all roses all the time? That's what I thought was going to happen. Or you get kind of lulled into this complacency where, oh, everything's great, everything's good. I don't even ask her because I don't really want to know, because everything's fine. She doesn't complain, and so that's good. And you find out that there's some things stewing over here that I probably should have asked about.
Right. So thank you for those surveys. They help us, and we're not going through just a book and a video series where we're just presenting. We are really catering to the Holy Spirit, relying on Him to help us grow, and as we learn with you each week. So now we're going to do something I think is really fun, right?
Yeah, this is my fun wife.
This is the fun wife. Okay, this is the teacher and me. So we have some sheets, and each couple, and if you're not here as a couple, that's okay, then you need your own sheet. And we're going to walk around in a minute. So if Caleb and Annie, do you guys mind passing those out to everybody? And what this is going to be is we're going to do a little bit of bingo. Now this is walking bingo. I know you have to move around, and I'm sorry, but what we're going to ask you to stand. And on this bingo sheet, there's going to be things that we want you to find in other couples. So,
and let me just throw this out. If you don't want to get up and move, or you can't, it's perfectly fine.
That's okay too.
They will find you.
Yeah.
So, because they need you.
Yeah.
They need your answers. And so don't worry about getting up if you aren't able to.
Right. And the best part is there's even a prize. Okay, guys? We have a prize in
We do
everything.
have a cool prize. I got to tell you, it's probably more applicable to the guys. But if a lady wins it, she just hands it to her husband.
That's right. So
either way, it works. It's a win-win, no matter.
So we'll just give you an example. So like one says have pets. So you would walk up and say, hi, I'm Gretchen.
I'm Eric.
And you guys are?
I'm Joe, and this is Liz.
Hi, Joe and Liz. Do you guys have pets?
Yeah, I brought her with me.
Wow.
And we're going to be talking to Joe after the meeting, right? But anyway, then they would take your sheet and they would sign their names on that. And then you're going to be trying to get bingo, okay? And I don't know if we'll have time for blackout, so get as many bingos as you can. So when the music starts, we're going to start. Any questions?
One question per couple?
Yeah, you can't go, okay, you guys have pets, and also, do you hold hands in public? And also, you have to move to somebody else, okay?
So the idea behind this is multiple things, right? Have a little bit of fun, learn about other people, meet some new people, get their names. So it's all kinds of stuff wrapped up in the one. So don't cheat, okay?
Right, and if you wanted to sneak in and out today, just blame me. You got to
Okay, Joel, give us some music.
Oh. Ready? Let's go.
Is anybody getting close to having a bingo? Anybody getting close to blackout? Okay. Okay, we've got 1 more minute. You got to scramble 1 more minute. Seconds.
All right, sign for us here.
Okay, wrap it up with your last couple and head back to your seats. They learned it the hard way. Hey, Dave. Oh, good job. Way to go. All right, awesome. Okay, when I was a kid, my grandma loved bingo. And so, does anybody have a straight line bingo? Oh, yeah, okay. How about a diagonal straight line? All right. How about a X? Where it goes diagonal from, oh, we've got an X. Okay, does anybody know what a kite is? Does anybody have a kite? You have a kite? You know what one is, and you have one? Oh, excellent, good job. A kite's 4 in the corner and then a diagonal. It looks like a tail from the kite.
I didn't know you knew all this bingo stuff.
I played bingo when I was a little kid and visited Grandma. Come on. Yeah. A kite can go any direction. It gets be upside down kite. All right, how about blackout? Did anybody get that far along? Blackout's a rough one. That's a rough one to get to. Okay, so who got that X? Who got the X diagonals?
Right there.
Right there? Okay, I'm going to give you a book. You may find that this is a great gift, or you may find that you have some new ideas for... It's 52 date night suggestions. So. All right, and I'm pretty sure that Pastor Zach is going to start doing this during sermons now. So I don't know what he's got for next week, but it'll be really cool like this, roaming around and right in the middle of his sermon. So that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that. All right. Yeah, you can yell out bingo, so that's good. Okay.
All right, well, we hope to make you laugh with this. So imagine, I thought this was really funny. Okay, so God created Adam and said, I can make you someone who will help you, challenge you, remember everything you said 5 years ago, and ask you questions that you don't know the answer to.
I don't know, Lord, that sounds expensive.
Oh, yes. Well, it will. It'll cost you an arm and a leg.
Well, what can I get for a rib? Okay, we won't do stand-up comedian.
Okay, anyway, that was extent of our comedy, but we thought it was kind of funny. So anyway, we love this verse, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain, which a lot of us know that verse, but applying it is different. So last week we talked about
being complete and being in complementarianism to your complementary to your spouse. So does anybody remember what being complete and being a complement to, what the difference is? Anybody remember that? Who can describe what being complete means? Yes, sir.
Being complete, maybe the other person meeting your needs or completing you.
So close. So completing was on our own, stand alone.
Yeah.
Okay? So completing is a standalone piece where you're complete with the Lord before you try and connect with this other person who's also struggling with being complete, because I don't want to come in and take the place of the Lord and try to complete her, or her look to me for being complete. Right? I want to be over here. I want to be complete with the Lord. That doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean I have it all figured out. It doesn't mean I don't have another 70 years to go through that with the Lord and be taught, trained, and go through trials and work it out. But it does mean that my needs are being met through the Lord. I have a relationship with the Lord so that she doesn't become responsible for that.
right. Tough concept.
And then complementing.
Right, and so the neat part is when it's all working, right, which we know it's like this in marriage, when it works, we do complement each other. Eric does help me, I mean, even driving, I'm like, I feel like I should go this way, and he's like, let's not feel it, let's figure it out, right? And so it's fun because even the little things, I need Eric, right? And so I need him to speak into my life, and he needs me to speak into his life. And God designed it that way. It's different, and you know, we've said that. We're really complete opposites. God uses that vehicle of marriage for his glory to do something mysterious that the world doesn't understand, and we don't even always understand, but it's amazing.
So complementing means God bringing two pieces together that are both missing some parts and making something better out of those people, and they're complementing each other.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. And then we talked the first week and the second week, if marriage isn't just like the world says, all about me, making me happy, making my life better, but what if it is God's design to help us be more like him? What if marriage, the hard parts, we're all in different seasons. Some of you are in health seasons. Some of you are in new seasons. Some of you are in little kid seasons. It doesn't matter. All of those, if we submit it to the Lord, Christ can make us more holy through that vehicle of marriage.
And part of that, you have to take it from us or maybe older people on faith, because it took a long time before we got to the point where we started understanding that, right? But as you go through trials and tribulations with your spouse, you begin to see how much you need the Lord to get through that and to be able to be this person that complements and that lives with this person in an understanding way. It's a difficult journey.
And exciting, too.
Very exciting.
Okay, and then we talked about the difference between a covenant and a contract. We had a couple we were doing premarital with, and they literally came and said, okay, my parents want her to sign all these things before we get married, and about land that we have and all these difficulties, because they'd had divorce throughout their family. And we talked about when you get married, you're making a covenant, a new identity. You're no longer I, it's we, right? And we know that there's people here who have, and God meets us at second marriages, and that doesn't mean the Lord isn't working. But the goal is, his design is a covenant with him, a commitment to him. And so that, you know, that contract that the world likes where, okay, just in case this doesn't work out, I need an out. That's not the way God looks at it. He can take wherever we're at, wherever we've been with this union, and do beautiful things.
And here's what a contract looks like. So we have some people that we were working with, and they were sharing a day in their life of their marriage. And she came home and she said, hey, I did these things. I worked really hard today. Okay, you're now coming home, husband, and I'm going to go off and spend time with my girlfriends and go do something fun, because that's even Steven, and that's the way it is. I did my part, now it's time for you to do your part. That's a contract. That's not a marriage, right? There are times when one of the spouses is going to put in 90%, 100%, because the other one is weak. They're needing. They need something. They're out of time. There's other times it switches around. But most of the time, we're working at, I'm doing 80, she's doing 80. You're like, well, that makes more than 100. Well, that's how life works, is we're both helping
Out
each
serving
other.
each other.
Yeah, and that's what a covenant is. A covenant is working hard, looking to the Lord, that relationship, that three-way relationship.
Right. Okay, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about our differences, and some of you are like, I already know all this, but just sit back and listen with us because I'm still learning, because every season brings something different as we grow, and we're going to talk about some of those differences today that we've experienced, and hopefully all of us can learn something new.
All right.
All right, so if I come into Eric on a Sunday morning, which may have happened this morning, and I'm like, I have nothing to wear. Ladies, what does that mean? Yeah,
Shopping, yes.
right? It means, and Eric's looking at my closet, and I'm like, I don't have anything I like. Now I need new clothes. I don't like it. But if Eric,
I can barely get in the closet. Like, I have to get the door and go like this. I'm like, what is all this stuff? And you have nothing to wear. Okay, I got it.
and if Eric says it,
Okay, so guys, if I say I have nothing to wear, what does that mean? Yeah, the drawer's actually empty, right? You open the drawer and you're like, I have nothing to wear. It's empty.
okay, and another one that we don't have up here is if I say, Eric goes, is everything okay? And I say, I'm fine. That means I am not fine. I have footnotes of what's going on, but if Eric says,
I'm fine.
he's fine.
I'm fine. I'm actually fine.
And we know, guys and girls, we always get somebody that says, well, hey, that's not me, I play that other role, and we understand that. So just try to find where you fit into this picture of how God has wired you and hardwired you, as we know that everybody doesn't fit into a category. All
Okay,
right.
so men, we tend to be, when we communicate, we're working on solving things, right? So I'm a fixer. Most guys are somehow a fixer. It doesn't mean you necessarily, turn screws or whatever. There's lots of ways to fix things, but that's what we do, right? You have a problem, I'm going to fix it for you.
Right, and ladies, we tend to communicate it's not to fix things, we talk out loud about it to process. We don't necessarily need someone to come in and fix it for us. Now, you'll hear a lot of the marriage books say that. I want to say that cautiously, because as I've grown up and matured, I actually now look to Eric and say, could you help me solve this problem? Could you listen? But also, I really value your insight. But early on in marriage, I'd come home with something that was, I was teaching school and maybe something hurt my feelings. And before I even finished, he had a list of things I should do. And I was like, I just needed you to sit with me, understand me, and be with me. And one of the examples I use is when my mom passed away. I had shared a little bit that it was a really hard journey. And one day I just started crying. I don't know why. I was just sad. In fact, I had been to a women's Bible study here, and someone had started talking about hospice. I wasn't sad. I wasn't trying to think about my mom. And all of a sudden, my body just felt like, I can't breathe. I need to get up, because our hospice experience, wonderful people, but it was just it was a challenging experience. And I walked home, because we live right over there, and I remember telling Eric, and he said, oh, I'm so sorry, it's okay. You're going to be sad about your mom probably till you see her in heaven. He didn't say, well, it's been a year, you got to get over this. Here's what you can do. You can just, in that moment, you're just going to have to power through. Instead, he said, hey, let's just pray about it, but it's okay. And I can't tell you how good that felt to just be raw, because there'll be times that I saw a house the other day that looked like my parents, right, where I was going to, mom used to help homeschool our kids and all these different things. And I just started crying again. And I'm not like someone who walks around, I know she's in heaven, I know she's with Jesus, I know she's better off, I'm on my way there too. But it was just good that I could call Eric and I said, hey, this just hurt, I just started crying. I don't even know why. He says, it's okay. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't tell me how to feel. He kind of just sat with me in the moment and said, it's okay. And that meant and means the world to me.
So ladies, how many times have you found your spouse tending to go quiet and wondering what's wrong and wondering how to connect with them? For me, and I think a lot of men, we tend to go quiet when we're stressed because we start thinking, not out loud, but we're thinking inside. And I don't want to talk at that moment. I want to think. I want to grind through it. So that's how I operate.
I don't understand that. Right. And I'm like, what do you mean? Don't you need me to help you? I can help you. I can tell you I'm right here. Are you okay? And he's like, I got God. I'm good. Right? And there is a time he's ready to talk. But men often very time problem solve, right, on their own, in their own little box. And that's just not the way I'm wired. And for me to project that that's how Eric should solve problems early on in our marriage, that didn't work. So understanding that we're different and not being offended by how someone else responds can be very helpful. Because when I'm stressed, I come home and go, okay, Eric, did you hear that? Did you see this? And when I was driving, that happened. And did you know that this week Gabriel had surgery, our 18-year-old, on his knee? And I'm like, okay, so this is what the doctor, can you believe the nurse said this? And then, and he's like, okay. And then I'm all better. I just needed to say it out loud and say it to somebody, and then I'm fine. And he's like, okay. So we're different.
So I've learned over time that I need to let her speak out loud, think out loud, not take it all, like take it personally or start analyzing or get my fix-it list out, but just give her a little bit of time because she's speaking out loud what I normally think in my head. And so I just have to let her grind through it. Pretty soon she'll start thinning it out and coming to her own conclusion, and then I can start getting engaged with whatever she's a part of, because she's boiled it down to the essentials at that point. But I have to give her a little bit of time to do that, or I'm just chasing the wind.
And that's kind of true, right? And that can be with me because I do have a lot of emotion. Anyway, okay.
Okay, so for you, think about this for a minute. What potential hurdles does this create in your own marriage? Everybody's going to be a little bit unique, a little bit individual. We've shared a little bit of how we function, but I imagine there are other people that have different things. So can anybody share something that they think is a potential hurdle to having that? What? Oh, already, yes, sir.
Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain.
Yes, and so that's your feminine side coming through.
Eric.
No. So we all have that. We start thinking out loud, right? And sometimes that happens, and that's why I have to retreat, and sometimes I have to say, okay, I'm going to pause for a minute, think this through, because if I start speaking before I've thought it through, then it's not articulated very well.
Right.
Great point.
Yeah, and Eric does sometimes, if he's passionate about something, he can, and he's pretty smart, so he'll go at this higher level, and he'll start speaking before he processes my tender, and so we both can do that. Again, we can't completely categorize us as men and women. These are just generalities, but I think that's great to own and recognize in ourselves.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
There was a video on YouTube that I got introduced to a while ago. It's called "It's Not About the Nail," and it kind of illustrates. The woman's like, "I want to tell you how it's making me feel and how it's catching on my clothing," and the guy's like, "Let me just pull it out of your head and find that intermediate." So one of the things that we're working on doing is sometimes if I'm sharing something or he's sharing something, if we're not sure, it's like, is this something you want me to listen to and sit with you on? Or is it something you'd like a solution? And so that way we make sure that we are better prepared for sitting and receiving versus looking for a solution.
That's good.
That's an excellent process that you're going through, and that takes generally years of maturity to get to that point. So yeah, kudos to you. So
She's more mature than me. She came up with that.
yeah. Well, that's normal.
Okay, over here. Yeah.
I tend to be the one that goes quiet, and I need to be better at saying, I need some time to be quiet, and don't interpret this as punishment or
Yeah.
anything like that, but I will come back around, and sometimes it takes a while. So I think I failed at saying, I'll be back, but I need to go in my little cave and pray and think and work this out, come up with some good responses before I open my mouth.
And Eric will do that too, but what's good helps me is to say, okay, so let's talk tonight after dinner at 7. can we go on a walk tonight and talk? Don't just stonewall or leave it there, because if you do, you know how time can actually cause other things to happen. You might be doing really well, but that might be really painful for him, and you might even feel rejected. So you got to be really careful with, it's okay, I think, to advocate for, this is how I process, I need some time, woman or man, but then have a time set up. We're going to come back and talk about this, especially with the 7 kids over the years. We didn't always see things eye to eye. And so we didn't have to power through it and solve it at that moment, but we'd say, let's talk about this tomorrow. And often praying about it first actually solved a lot anyway.
And in this example that you're talking about, what I've had to learn is to have a couple of questions that are in the back of my mind that I just run to, and I can ask her some of those questions to kind of get her moving on a subject that might be tough, or she's not sure about, or she's struggling with. One of the things that is really easy to use is just like on your survey, we do the 1 to 5 scale or 1 to 10 scale. I can do that with her too. I can say, hey, how was your day today? 1 to 5, how was your day? And if she says 2, I know that, there's something going on there. There's some hurt, and I need to kind of flesh that out better. If she says 5, then that isn't an area that I'm going to dive into.
And he does that when I'm quiet, because sometimes I do, believe it or not, I can get quiet too. So, okay.
So there's some skills that you have to pick up, for those different situations like that. And again, everybody is different. And so, great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
That was great.
Anybody else? One more. I saw. Yes, sir.
Taking things personally from your difference.
Yeah. That's a big one, and that's, so both of us have gentle feelings, soft feelings. They're different. They manifest themselves very differently, but I could get my feelings hurt really bad. And so she starts bringing things up that I feel like are my responsibility. I start going off over here and thinking, well, I thought I did that right, or I did that well, and why are you not treating me very well? Instead of seeking out what's really going on there and not taking it personal. I have to kind of shut the emotion down for a moment until I kind of get a better feel for what's going on.
Just real quick, I know that, anyway, you have to keep going, but
Yeah, you're good.
learning how to be a forgiving person and not keep score. And so when you get into potential conflict, almost PTSD, you figure that out, and so you have to learn to truly forgive. And that's where the relationship with God allowed me to forgive that person.
Okay, so that's an excellent point, and that's like we could do an entire session on that, and we will pick up on a few of those items. But what you're talking about is super important. The whole idea of not keeping score is a big deal, and that's a hard one because the world tells you to keep score, and it tells you how to keep score, and it gives you ways to keep score, and all of those are ungodly things. That's not how we're supposed to operate with our spouse. We're not to keep score. God doesn't keep score on us. That needs to be pushed aside and given grace and forgiveness to this person.
Right, and
Actually, it goes this way.
And we'll talk more about this in a couple weeks, but defensiveness is actually, I would say that was my greatest default. If Eric brought something to me, I took it as I was a failure, and so I get defensive. And if you see yourself being defensive, then that's a good time to do a heart check, because even if they're not bringing it to you correctly or right, remember who I am. I'm a daughter of the living God. I'm his princess. I'm his daughter. He loves me. Can I allow even not just Eric, but other people to speak into my life? So defensiveness, and again, yeah.
Okay, so obviously we have differences. We've already seen that just displayed right here in the middle of church. So what is one difference that you can think about in your spouse that you have learned to appreciate? So those are things, as I've thought about that over the years, there are things that at face value, they seem negative. They seem like they're going to hurt me. They're taking away from my life. They're making things not as fun. And as time has gone on, I look at those things and I start to appreciate where those are at. I appreciate things like, the way she communicates now, because I don't have to really worry about my wife having a lot of stuff stored up, because it comes out a lot. And so
Especially at 2 a.m. I'm like, do you want to talk? Do you want to talk? He's like, I guess so. I'm like, oh, I was just thinking.
So for me, in my relationship, it's more about figuring out how to deal with that and to ask the right questions to help her through that. Not that I'm not going to find out about it, it's what do I do with it? You may have something that's a little bit different than that.
Yeah, anybody have something that maybe you appreciate about your spouse that is really helpful to you?
That is a difference? That was
Yeah.
a difference?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
When we got married, I came from a family where we had differences, we'd argue about it, and came up from a family, no conflict was their set way, so and if we had differences, it was hard to work that out. I think it's been nice over the years, he's learned, I mean, I don't want to say he's learned to argue.
Well, now we argue.
We really had to kind of learn some rules of engagement.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that we both learned to give a little bit on that and be less confrontational and learn to be a little bit more so that we can resolve things without going away super angry.
Yeah.
I like that rules of engagement.
That's good.
No, I think that's really,
Yeah.
really good, actually, because we're very different, right? And so you do need to have sort of some rules of engagement. How are we going to do this? How am I going to talk to her without hurting her feelings or making her feel like she's not heard or things like that? You know, what are the rules of engagement between us? What makes her tick so that I can compliment her and not just have her frustrated or sad?
And then going back to the very first week, it is important that we recognize both of us. We have things that, like the way we grew up, different experiences, even that I moved a lot as a kid. And, you know, Eric's talked a little bit about the way he grew up, that we recognize when we do have conflict or we do have differences, am I already projecting something? Is that a ghost there? Am I responsible for that, you know, part of me that may be displaced? Like, that's not really, why can't I hear this from you right now? Well, it's triggering some other things that I have that I'm insecure about or that have hurt me in the past. And I have to be able to go, wait a minute, this is a person who loves me. I'm safe right now. I need to hear from them and trust the Lord. They're not perfect. And be careful not to bring with me that baggage that I can, right? Which we all have. It doesn't matter who you are. We're in a broken, sinful, fallen world. And be able to recognize I'm leaving that with the Lord and I want Him to see, what does this person have for me? Is there any truth to what they're saying? And also appreciate, I'm so grateful. You know, I'm so grateful now that Eric, I kind of feel like he's my covering. Like, here I am, and he's over me, right? He's taking care of me. And it used to be when we first got married, I'm like, well, I'm pretty strong. We can be together. We can walk together. And now I feel like I can come under him because he's made that safe place for me. And guess what? I know he loves the Lord more than he loves me. And that really helps me rest.
Okay.
All right, so this was a little bit vulnerable. We asked each other on our date night this week to talk about things that we appreciate in each other. And we do this just to be raw with you and honest with you and also build each other up. So we would ask you to go home this week and do the same thing. And so, yeah, we'll share some of these things.
Yeah, so it's hard to be humble in front of your person. Like sometimes, you know, we have that stack of things that have built up over time that are offenses and things that we haven't forgiven. And then it makes it hard to step around that and in humility talk to your person. I mean, how do you do that if you have this big wall of things that you've built up over time? So that whole idea of forgiving and moving that aside, not that we're not going to deal with it, but it needs to be moved aside so that I can operate where I'm supposed to be. Being humble, being able to talk to her, being that covering for her, that, you know, where I'm her protector and I'm protecting her feelings as well as, you know, the other things in life.
Eric came home, I don't know when it was, and maybe you've heard this before, but he said, I heard this in I don't know if you read it or you heard it from someone that said, but he said, I want to return you to the Lord better than I got you.
And I have a long way to go right now because I worked backwards for a while, you know, so.
Anyway, but that meant a lot to me because I know that he is working to love me well.
Okay, so there's some things that Gretchen does for me that this is the complimenting part. This is the part in humility when she puts herself aside and she says, I want to compliment you. I want your life to be working better. I see it as important that if Eric is doing really well, that the family's doing really well. And so these are some of the things that she does for me that I really appreciate that make me tick. They're going to be a little bit different than other guys in here, and they're certainly different than what makes her tick. And so I need a little bit of encouragement and affirmation. I'm not a guy that needs a lot of silver stars and things like that. But once in a while, I need somebody to say, especially my wife, hey, I really appreciate you working hard for our family. That's it. That's all she had to say. And man, I could go, for days on that. I feel so much better. She helped me with a vision board at work. So I was struggling with some things at work, and she came up with this idea and started using Post-it notes on a board. And I was like, oh, I would have never done that. That seems odd. And it really helped me. So she used her creativity to come alongside of me and help me.
You want to tell them what's about?
No.
There was prizes under the little sticky notes, so in a fun way.
And that's another thing, is making life fun. So I never really thought of life as, life should be fun. I mean, I had fun once in a while, but I never looked at it as a goal or that life should be fun. I spent the first 17 years of my life not knowing Jesus and living a life that was rather dark and just, sad and lonely. And so fun wasn't something I really understood. Getting married to my wife, fun is like on the top of her list. Everything is fun. She does that. And so that has made my life way different. I really enjoy life now. And that's part of our reason for standing up here right now, is we want people to understand that marriage is really fun. And you can enjoy life together. And you don't have to be dour, and it doesn't have to be tons of work all the time. It can be really fun. And she's shared that with me and helped me to understand that. And I love that about life now. The latter part of my life has just been so much more fun than the first part.
Right, and I think that's perspective. I told you I was enrolling a couple in Medicare, and I met them over in Post Falls, and it comes with, if you're in Medicare, you get a free gym membership, okay? And so I'm like, hey, you can go to the gym. And he goes, Gretchen, I've calculated. It's 22 minutes there, and then I have to spend this time. And I'm like, okay, but you're retired now, right? You guys could go together. And she's like, yeah, we could go together. And he's like, that's a waste of time. And it was just funny watching him, because he was so driven that you use every part of every day to be productive, right? So maybe you want to make your money work, you want to make your time work, but God came for the abundant life. Think about it. Jesus had fun. He liked I always tell Eric, he went to a lot of feasts, right? He had fun. He fed people. He met with people. He loved to break bread. And so I think that abundant life is, even though he's not saying it, you've taught me that too, that this life isn't just full of like tasks to check off and degrees to get and money to make. This can be a beautiful, special, wonderful vehicle, a safe place to laugh in the midst of storms.
And these are some of the things that I've learned that make her tick. And so we were talking about, like, I make her coffee almost every day in the morning. And she told me the other day, she goes, I don't even really like coffee all that much.
I like the whipped cream.
If she doesn't get her coffee, she's like, she can't really get the day going, even though she doesn't really like it. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense to me, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to make her coffee. It's one of the check boxes in her life, and off she goes.
Right, and I love this, that it just comes pretty natural now that we pray before we go to sleep. And last night we had a late night. We got sick twins, our twin grandbabies, and I ran over there with our daughter and didn't get home. And at 1 a.m, Eric leaned over and he just prayed. It just comes natural as you do. And I can't explain it. It's kind of like my dad, who used to tuck us into bed every night and pray with us. Now Eric has taken that role, and it just brings me a peace. It's like, and you'd think, well, Gretchen, you know the Lord, and I know, but for him to draw me into that and do it together in the middle of the night, there's something that I can rest, right? So that's kind of fun. We talked about how we have different times that I'm a morning person, he's a night person. It doesn't matter. We go to bed at the same time. Someone gave us that advice early on. That's worked really well for us. Sometimes Eric will stay reading a book. It doesn't matter. We're going to end the night together. We're going to close the night together. We're going to talk through our day together. And that's just something that I've always appreciated, because if we don't, there's just something that's missing. So I appreciate that.
She
and
talked about her
yeah.
friends here that she met that, the gentleman was like, well, I have 22 minutes to drive to work. Or drive to the gym.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me. That's too much time. I don't know what to do. I'd go 22 minutes. I got to hang out with my wife. I'm going to drive a different route every single time all week long to our gym. Why not go this way? Why not go that way? Let's look at some different houses. Let's see the scenery. Let's take a look at Post Falls. Make the journey fun. You don't have to be in a rut. You can look at each item like that, and she loves that.
Yeah, I remember when we were first married, and I said I was going to go to a store, and then I came home. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go back over here. And he's like, no, why didn't you go there when you were here? Why didn't you think that through? I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't think like that, right? And now I think he's come to the point of like, even going to Walmart, we can have fun. And I know that sounds crazy, you can have fun in Walmart, but we do, you know what I mean? And maybe on the way we'll pick up a slushie or something. So have a mindset of enjoying your spouse. Enjoy the person God's given you. And I appreciate that, because he acts like I'm the fun one, but he really is. So this is another thing someone taught us, is to have a code. Anybody have a code for their marriage? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Why don't you explain what a code is?
Okay, so years ago, my parents did foster care for criminal kids, and it was a pilot program where these kids, it was boys that were coming out of a facility, and they wanted to see if they put them in a home, if they could kind of help them thrive. And my parents did an amazing job. I forget how many boys you had go through your house, like 72 or something over the years. Anyway, but one of the things that they learned, one of the things, and my mom taught me, is that you create a code word. So Eric and I have a code word, even though we have our children here, maybe we shouldn't share it. And what it is, if we're in a situation where like something's getting escalated outside of us, or I'm uncomfortable, I say my code word. And so Eric, that gives him the notice to say, okay, I'll just tell you, Caleb, it's popcorn, okay? So we would say, like, I'd say, hey, hon, are we gonna have popcorn tonight? And no one would have any clue, but that would mean like, hey, this is not going well, or can you help me out here? Or let's say that we're in a situation where somebody, we were with some family members outside of our little circle, and they weren't being very kind, and I was like, I want to be Christ-like here, so I walked over and I'm like, hey, doesn't popcorn sound good? And that way he knows something's going on, and he's got my back, or I've got his back. And that, we use that with our children too. When we were raising them, we'd have teenagers, and there would be somebody who's, I remember one time in the kitchen being super disrespectful, and we're like, okay, we're not gonna focus on the disrespect, we're gonna focus on staying with the consequence. But at that moment, we wanted to just, and so I remember Eric going, hey, hon, we should have popcorn tonight. And I was like, oh, we should. So it's just a code that you create for you, and we have some friends who have like, they pull on their ear, but something that says, I got you, I see you, and I'm with you. And it may seem really nerdy, but my mom taught me that, because they said you need that when you're with these kids, because they will bring a lot of turmoil to your home, and you can't emotionally react. And so we've done that for many, many, many years. And
so this does a variety of things for you. First of all, it creates something that only the two of you know about. Well,
now Caleb and Annie.
But
got to change words after 26 years, whatever.
Yeah. But it creates something that's unique between the two of you. And so that's a bonding moment, right? It's just a thing that glues you together a little bit better. Then it gives you this opportunity to have a way of communicating where you don't know how to communicate. Like when we just share the popcorn thing, I know that's my red alert. That's my red flag. I go, okay, what's going on? What do I need to do? How are you? What's the situation? Is there something going on? It's the red alert for me. And so this brings a lot of, it does sound kind of nerdy to have a code word, right? I mean,
no.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay, this is coming from the biggest nerd around.
That's right, I am as well, almost.
Okay, but anyway, having that little code word is super helpful in life, and we use it quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember after Eric had cancer, they were like, okay, you've got to have the surgery, everything is going to be great, it's going to be wonderful, whatever. And then we came back 3 months later, I'm like, this isn't all right. And now, the doctor's like, well, you did have major cancer surgery. What did you expect? Even though I really liked her as a surgeon. And I remember saying,
Popcorn.
yeah, popcorn. And because he wasn't.
No,
pick-
for real popcorn.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Did you see that?
Oh.
He's like, popcorn?
Oh, okay. Anyway, so that's good.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up
Yeah,
real
sorry.
quick. All right. So last week we asked you to do the challenge. These are the things that we suggested and we talked about. And so was anybody able to do the weekly challenge? Did anybody do something new or fresh or change it up?
Oh, no.
The pastor did. Oh my goodness. All right, I want to hear about this. What'd you do?
Well, we had a date night at home that changed up with the sick kid, but we still had a date night at home, so.
Excellent. Good job. I'm proud of you. Really, that's a big deal. Good job. And very creative, too. So, okay. So we continue to ask you to do those challenges. There they are. Try those out. We would love to see you, going down the list and saying, okay, I've never tried that before. I'm going to try it. And,
Yeah.
oh, did they shut me off?
Yeah, we're good. Sorry. I talked, all right, good.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We're going to burn through that. And okay, I want to talk about Valentine's real quick. So, Valentine's is coming up. I'm speaking more to the guys here. So, we're talking about marriage challenges. Valentine's is something, some people hate it, some people love it, some people think it's goofy, some people think it's demonic. I mean, I don't really care. Valentine's is my reminder. This is for me. It's the reminder once a year, this is a time I get to do something really special for her. And I'm glad it's on the calendar and a big red heart and whatever. And so I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day, I'm celebrating her. And it's just a reminder. So what are you going to do for Valentine's Day? Yeah, do something really special for your spouse. Figure out something that you've never done before. Shock the heck out of her, right? Come up with something you've never done.
Fun stuff, so.
Okay, sorry I couldn't talk about that more.
Sorry.
And we're done with those two. Here's our go-to. We're trying to find out about holiness, not happiness. But we're going to be happy along the way. All right, Jesus, we love you. We thank you so much for this time together. Please bless these marriages. Please bless our marriage. Help us to live with each other in an understanding way and to complement each other in all ways that you have shown us. We love you, Jesus, and praise your name. Amen.
Amen.